General Theok wondered aloud, his voice breaking the silence in the room, filled with the hum of advanced Vurian technology. Is it possible these humans are enhanced by a mind-altering drug? All eyes in the room turned towards him, their curiosity evident. The Royan fleet had effortlessly conquered numerous galaxies, yet on the seemingly insignificant planet Earth, they encountered an enigma. The footage on the screen showed a human soldier in the midst of battle, casually sipping from a metallic cup. Replay the footage, General Theok instructed his chief scientist, Dr. Zarn. The screen flickered and displayed the surreal scene once again. Explosions and plasma bolts illuminated the night as Sergeant Miles Thatcher leaned against a makeshift barricade, sipping what analysts had identified as coffee. Thatcher's squad is known for its unconventional strategies, Dr. Zarn began. But this is unprecedented. General Theok leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. What is this substance they consume? Could it be a stimulant, some form of combat enhancer? Dr. Zarn shrugged with his many shoulders. It is called coffee, a common beverage on Earth. Chemical analysis shows it contains caffeine, a mild stimulant by their standards. Mild. Theok's tone was incredulous. They are in the midst of combat, and they drink this coffee? It appears to be a cultural habit, Zarn explained. They consume it daily. Theok's mandibles clicked in thought. Deploy more reconnaissance drones. I want to understand these humans. They are unlike any species we've encountered. On the ground, the battlefield was a cacophony of sounds and smells, with the distinct aroma of freshly brewed coffee cutting through the smoke and metallic tang of weapon fire. Sergeant Thatcher, his helmet adorned with a hand-painted coffee cup emblem, grinned as he took another sip. "Damn good brew today, Collins," he said to his fellow soldier manning the portable coffee machine. "Thanks, Sarge," Private Collins replied, barely audible over the din. "Thought we'd need an extra kick today." Thatcher chuckled, turning back to the battle. "Incoming 2 o'clock," he shouted. The squad shifted seamlessly, plasma rifles trained on the advancing Vurian soldiers. Bright green bolts shot through the air, met by precise bursts from human firearms. Thatcher's squad was legendary for their accuracy and unconventional tactics. Rumor had it they trained with holographic coffee mugs in hand to perfect their balance and aim under fire. "Hold the line," Thatcher barked, taking another sip. His calm demeanor in the face of alien aggression was infectious, and his squad fought with confidence born not just from training, but from an indomitable human spirit and a steady supply of caffeine. Behind the Vurian lines, General Theok watched in disbelief. Their efficiency. It's almost as if the coffee makes them stronger. "Unlikely," Dr. Zarn said, his voice tinged with fascination. "But their morale and cohesion are remarkable." "Prepare a strike force," Theok commanded. "We need a prisoner for interrogation." Sergeant Thatcher and his men were pushing back the alien front when a blinding light erupted from the sky. A Vurian strike team descended, their weapons gleaming with deadly intent. The squad braced for impact, but Thatcher remained unflinching. "Hold steady," he shouted, raising his rifle. The Vurian soldiers moved with inhuman precision, but were met with fierce resistance. The humans fought back with an intensity that surprised even the seasoned Vurian warriors. A plasma bolt struck near Thatcher, sending him sprawling. His coffee cup clattered to the ground, spilling its contents. Collins was at his side in an instant, firing rapidly while dragging Thatcher to cover. "Not the coffee," Thatcher groaned, shaking his head clear. Collins laughed despite the chaos. "Priorities, Sarge." The Vurians surged forward, overwhelming the human defenses. Within moments, Thatcher and a few of his men were surrounded. The Vurian commander stepped forward. "Surrender, human," he demanded. Thatcher looked up, his eyes defiant. "Not today, Bugface." Before the commander could respond, Thatcher hurled his empty cup at the alien's head, momentarily distracting him. With a quick movement, Thatcher lunged forward, knocking the weapon from the commander's grasp. A brief struggle ensued, ending with Thatcher subdued, but not before he left a lasting impression of human resilience. In the Vurian command center, Thatcher was brought before General Theok, his hands bound but his spirit unbroken. The room was filled with the soft hum of technology, alien symbols glowing on the walls. Theox studied him with a mix of curiosity and respect. "Why do you drink this coffee in the midst of battle?" Major Alice Parker smirked. "It's what keeps us going. You should try it sometime." Dr. Reinach stepped forward, holding a small device. "We've analyzed the substance. It's a stimulant, but nothing that would explain your combat prowess." "It's not just the caffeine," Parker said, leaning forward. "It's part of who we are. Humans don't just fight with their bodies. We fight with our minds, our traditions, and yes, our coffee." Zaros's eyes narrowed. "Traditions?" "It's a ritual," Parker explained. "A moment of calm amidst the chaos. It reminds us of home, of why we're fighting. It's a small thing, but it makes us strong." The room fell silent as the aliens contemplated this. Zaros finally spoke, his tone grudgingly respectful. "You are a peculiar species, Major Parker, but know this, your defiance will not save you." Parker met his gaze unflinchingly. "We'll see about that." Back on Earth, Parker's squad regrouped, planning a daring rescue mission. They would not let their leader remain a captive. As the humans prepared for the next phase of their battle, they brewed another pot of coffee. The rich aroma filled the air, strengthening their resolve. The war was far from over, but one thing was clear. The aliens had underestimated the power of humanity's spirit and its coffee. Parker's squad had retreated to a temporary base deep within a dense forest. The alien skirmish had left them battered, but not broken. Captain David Stone, Parker's second-in-command, paced before the makeshift command center, the scent of freshly brewed coffee blending with the earthy aroma of the forest floor. "All right, men," Stone said, his voice resolute. "We've got a job to do. Parker's counting on us, and we're not going to let her down." The squad members gathered around, their faces grim but determined. Private Collins held up a steaming pot, offering a silent toast before pouring everyone a cup. They drank deeply, the warmth of the coffee bolstering their spirits. "Here's the plan," Stone continued, unfurling a map on a wooden table. "We know the Rothans have taken Parker to their command center, located about 50 clicks north of here. We'll move under the cover of night, using the terrain to our advantage." Corporal Ramirez, the squad's demolitions expert, chimed in. "What's the entry strategy? Those bugs have tech that can see through walls." Stone smirked. "We're going to give them something they've never seen before. Human ingenuity. Ramirez, I need you to rig some of our gear to create a diversion. Collins, you'll handle the recon and keep us updated on enemy movements." Collins nodded, adjusting his night vision goggles. "Got it, Cap. I'll make sure they don't see us coming." The rest of the squad huddled closer, absorbing the details of the plan. Each member knew their role, and though the odds were against them, they had faith in their leader and their mission. Night fell, and the squad moved silently through the underbrush, their dark clothing blending with the shadows. The forest was alive with nocturnal creatures, but the soldiers' senses were honed on their objective. Stone led the way, his steps sure and silent. As they approached the Rodhan Command Center, a massive structure of alien metal and organic material, Collins signaled for them to halt. "Multiple patrols around the perimeter," he whispered. "We'll need to time this perfectly." Stone nodded and turned to Ramirez. "Ready?" Ramirez grinned, holding up a small device. "Ready as I'll ever be. Let's give them a light show." He pressed a button, and a series of explosions erupted on the far side of the compound. Alarms blared, and the Rodhan soldiers scrambled toward the chaos. Using the diversion, the squad slipped past the distracted guards and into the heart of the command center. Inside, the air was cool and sterile, a stark contrast to the humid forest outside. The corridors were dimly lit, their walls pulsating with an eerie glow. Stone led the way, navigating through the maze-like structure with the help of Collins's reconnaissance. "Parker should be in the central detention area," Collins whispered. 2 levels down. They descended a spiral staircase, their footsteps muffled by the alien material. As they reached the lower level, they encountered their first real obstacle, a pair of heavily armed Rodhan guards. Stone signaled for silence, then motioned to Ramirez, who quickly set up a flashbang device. The grenade went off with a blinding light and deafening bang, incapacitating the guards. The squad moved swiftly, taking out the stunned aliens with precise shots. "We need to move fast," Stone urged. "They'll be on high alert now." They pressed on, encountering more resistance as they neared the detention area. The Rodhans, alerted by the noise, put up a fierce fight, but the humans' determination and tactical prowess allowed them to push forward. Finally, they reached the central chamber. Parker was there, restrained in a high-tech cell guarded by a contingent of Rodhan soldiers. Stone's heart pounded as he assessed the situation. They were outnumbered, but retreat was not an option. "Collins, Ramirez, flank left and take out those guards. Johnson, you're with me. We'll create a distraction and draw their fire." The plan unfolded with military precision. Collins and Ramirez moved like shadows, dispatching the guards with silenced weapons. Stone and Johnson provided cover, drawing the attention of the remaining Rodhans. In the midst of the chaos, Stone reached the control panel for Parker's cell. He quickly hacked into the system, bypassing the alien encryption with skill honed from years of experience. The cell door slid open, and Parker stumbled out, looking battered but defiant. "Thought you'd never get here," Parker said, her voice weak but steady. "Wouldn't leave you behind, Major," Stone replied, handing her a plasma rifle. "Let's get out of here." They fought their way back through the compound, the sounds of battle echoing in the corridors. As they reached the surface, the early light of dawn began to break through the trees, casting a golden glow on the forest floor. Parker took a deep breath, savoring the fresh air. "Thanks, boys. Now let's finish what we started." Back at the Rodhan Command Center, General Zaros watched the escape on his monitors, his frustration palpable. The humans' audacity and resilience were unlike anything he had encountered. He turned to Dr. Reinach, who was analyzing the footage. "Have we learned anything new about their tactics?" Zaros demanded. Dr. Reinach shook his head. "Their strategies are primitive yet effective. It's their unpredictability that gives them an edge." Zaros's eyes narrowed. "We need to adapt. Prepare the next phase of our plan. I want those humans brought to their knees." Parker's squad regrouped at their temporary base, taking stock of their supplies and planning their next move. The mood was tense but hopeful. They had managed to rescue their leader, but the war was far from over. "All right, listen up," Parker said, her voice commanding attention despite her fatigue. "The Rodhans won't take this lightly. We need to strike before they can regroup." Collins stepped forward, a map in hand. "We've identified a weak point in their defenses. It's a communications hub about 20 clicks from here. If we can take it out, we'll disrupt their entire operation." Parker nodded. "Good work, Collins. Ramirez, can you rig us some explosives?" Ramirez grinned. "Consider it done, Major." As the squad prepared for their next mission, the aroma of brewing coffee once again filled the air. It was a ritual that kept them grounded, a reminder of what they were fighting for. They took their time, savoring the moment of calm before the storm. Parker raised her cup in a silent toast, and the men followed suit. "To victory," she said, her voice steady, "and to the power of a damn good cup of coffee." The squad set out at dusk, moving with the stealth and precision of seasoned warriors. They navigated through the forest, their senses attuned to every sound and movement. The communications hub loomed ahead, a fortress of alien technology bristling with defenses. Stone signaled for a halt, scanning the perimeter. "Collins, what's the situation?" Collins peered through his scope, carefully observing the patrol patterns and security measures. "Heavy guard presence," he noted, "but there's a blind spot on the west side. We can breach it if we time it right." Thatcher nodded. "All right, we go in fast and hard. Ramirez, you plant the charges. The rest of us will provide cover." They moved as one, a well-oiled machine fueled by determination and caffeine. As they approached the hub, they encountered stiff resistance, but their training and resolve saw them through. Ramirez quickly set the explosives, his fingers deftly working the wires. "Charges are set. We've got 5 minutes," he said. The squad fell back, taking cover behind a ridge as the countdown began. The Rodhans, realizing the threat too late, scrambled to disarm the bombs, but their efforts were in vain. The explosion rocked the forest, a thunderous roar that shook the ground. Flames and debris shot into the sky, and the communication hub was reduced to rubble. Thatcher and his men watched with satisfaction, knowing they had dealt a significant blow to the enemy. "Good work, men," Thatcher said, his voice carrying a note of pride. "We've shown them what humans are capable of." As they retreated to their base, dawn broke once again, casting new light on their struggle. The war was far from over, but the humans had proven they were a force to be reckoned with. And as long as they had their coffee, they would continue to fight with unwavering resolve. The blast from the communications hub still reverberated in their ears as Thatcher's squad regrouped. The forest around them seemed to come alive with the aftermath, the distant rumble of falling debris, and the acrid scent of smoke blending into the natural surroundings. Thatcher knew the Rodhans would retaliate swiftly and with greater force. Time was against them. "Thatcher, we've got incoming," Collins called out, eyes fixed on his scanner. Multiple signals closing fast. Thatcher clenched his jaw. "We need to move." "Ramirez, what's our status on the remaining explosives?" Ramirez checked his gear. "I've got enough to give them a surprise they won't forget." "Good. We're falling back to the secondary location. Everyone stay sharp and stick together." They moved quickly through the forest, the thick canopy providing some cover from aerial surveillance. Despite the tension, there was a sense of camaraderie among the men, each one drawing strength from the others. As they approached a small clearing, the sound of alien engines grew louder. "We can't outrun them forever," Stone muttered, his eyes scanning the sky. "Then we make a stand," Thatcher replied, his voice calm and steady. "Set up defense positions. Ramirez, plant those charges along the perimeter. Collins, Johnson, take the high ground and give us a heads up on their approach." The squad dispersed, each member taking their assigned position with practiced ease. Thatcher's heart pounded in his chest, but his mind was focused. He knew they were outnumbered and outgunned, but they had the element of surprise and the indomitable human spirit on their side. Minutes felt like hours as they waited. The first sign of the Vurian assault came in the form of a low hum, followed by the appearance of sleek insectoid craft skimming the treetops. Thatcher signaled to his men, and the forest erupted in a cacophony of gunfire and explosions. Ramirez's charges detonated, sending shockwaves through the alien ranks. The Vurian, caught off guard, faltered for a moment but quickly regrouped. Their advanced weaponry cut through the forest with lethal precision, and the humans found themselves pushed back. "We need to hold them off until the main force arrives." Thatcher yelled over the din of battle. "Keep moving, don't let them pin you down." The squad fought with everything they had, their movements a blend of coordinated strikes and desperate evasion. Collins and Johnson provided covering fire from above, their sniper rifles picking off Vurian soldiers with deadly accuracy. Ramirez, ever the explosive artist, continued to set traps and ambushes, each blast buying them precious seconds. In the heat of battle, Thatcher found himself face to face with a Vurian commander. The alien towered over him, its chitinous armor glistening in the dappled sunlight. Thatcher raised his rifle, but the Vurian was faster, knocking the weapon from his hands and sending him sprawling. As the Vurian loomed over him, Thatcher reached into his vest and pulled out a small, unassuming object, a thermos of coffee. With a defiant grin, he twisted the lid off and flung the contents into the alien's face. The scalding liquid caused the Vurian to recoil, its mandibles clicking in pain and confusion. Seizing the moment, Thatcher grabbed a nearby rock and struck the alien's head, the force of the blow cracking its exoskeleton. The Vurian staggered, and Thatcher didn't hesitate. He retrieved his rifle and fired, the shots finding their mark and bringing the commander down. Thatcher scrambled to his feet, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Stone, status report." Stone's voice crackled through the comms. "We're holding, but barely. Reinforcements are en route. ETA 10 minutes. Understood. We hold this line no matter what." The battle raged on, each second a test of endurance and resolve. The Rodhans, relentless in their assault, pressed forward, but the humans fought back with a ferocity born of desperation and courage. Thatcher's squad, though battered and weary, refused to give in. Then, just as the situation seemed dire, the sky filled with the roar of engines. Human dropships descended, their weapons blazing. The Vurian forces, caught between the advancing reinforcements and Thatcher's squad, found themselves in a deadly crossfire. The tide of battle turned swiftly. The Rothans, unable to withstand the combined assault, began to retreat. The humans, fueled by the arrival of their comrades and the sight of the enemy fleeing, pressed their advantage, driving the invaders back. As the last of the Vurian forces disappeared into the forest, a cheer went up from the human ranks. Thatcher lowered his rifle, exhaustion washing over him. His men gathered around, their faces a mix of relief and triumph. "We did it, Sarge," Stone said, clapping Thatcher on the shoulder. "We held them off." Thatcher nodded, a weary smile on his face. "Good work, everyone. We showed them what humanity is made of." As the sun rose higher, casting a warm glow over the battlefield, the significance of their victory began to sink in. They had faced a formidable enemy and emerged victorious, not just through superior tactics or firepower, but through sheer will and determination. Thatcher looked at his men, each one a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. They had fought together, bled together, and ultimately triumphed together. And through it all, they had persevered.